Hey there and welcome to Watch TE Live today. If you have planned to move to Finland or you have recently moved into Finland, we'll be offering you plenty of useful information today. So welcome to Watch the Live show, which begins right away. Hello and welcome to TE Live. So today we'll be offering you very good tips on job searching here in Finland. You will be also hearing some more other important information today on today's broadcast. Remember that there are several specialists from TE Services on the chat and they're following the conversation. So if you have any questions to ask, you can choose yourself a nickname and just ask your questions anonymously. I would also like to remind you that if your question is related to benefits, for example, Kela's benefits, or any other issue related to your personal situation on your job seeking, then you should contact the information numbers that we put on the chat. So today's broadcast is mainly related to Uusimaa region and how we handle things here in Uusimaa region. Now, I'm not saying that you should not apply jobs, for example, in Lapland, but today what we're talking about are the things, how we handle the job searching here in Uusimaa region. And we are listing things that are important to our specialists here in Uusimaa region. Now, Uusimaa region, of course, is the area of South Finland that also includes capital city area. Now, first we will begin with a video where two women who have moved to Finland from foreign countries will tell about their experiences here in Finland.
Hi, I'm Vanessa. I'm from Peru, the country of Machu Picchu and ceviche. I moved to Finland for law and to work and study. Also, I'm working in Finland in a hospital. I am studying here, nursing. I think the secret to happiness is the quality of life is very high. The security, equal rights to everyone.
Hi, I'm Minty Das, and I'm a writer from the US, and I moved to Finland because I've lived all over the world, and it's my favorite place. So what I would call happy in Finland is more a contentment. And I think that's a contentment with the real things in life, family, nature, spending time with the people you love.
I think for me, having job opportunities and studying now in Finland, those things make me happy. Also, the nature of Finland, yeah, it's very important for me. Yeah.
I don't know if it's the Finnish secret, but one of the things I love about the Finns is their wry sense of humor. I think actually it's the darkness that makes us happy because you have to go through the darkness to be able to really be content with the light. And what makes me happy is being creative, a great cocktail, and long walks, city walks. I'm not a nature girl.
And now we begin here with Mikko Ollila, from leading specialist from TE Services. Welcome.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
So we just saw this video where Vanessa and Minty told about their experiences here in Finland. And they especially described a lot about their free time related to work-life balance, of course. So what do you think about the work-life balance here in Finland and in general what they described life to be like?
Yeah, it sounded very familiar. I think the work-life balance in Finland is very good. That work-life is not all your life, but you also have time to spend with your family and nature. And I really enjoy that, so it kind of balances the scale of life.
Yeah, and I think we are pretty famous about having pretty long holidays compared to a lot of other countries in the world.
Yeah, I think that's a
Yeah.
very good thing.
I personally also like the work-life balance here. It was very nice to hear their experiences. So if we go to the topic today, which is job searching here in Finland. So if we first started with an organization called Work in Finland. So we will also have some graphics on the screen while we talk about it. And maybe you could first tell a bit about what is Work in Finland organization and how does it work? How does it help?
Well, the Work in Finland website is a really good place to start. Like before you arrive, you can check all the kinds of things that you need to know before you arrive, like all the official things and also like housing and well, everything you need to know pretty much.
So information also related
Yeah.
to taxes, for
Yeah,
example.
for example, yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah. Is there anything related to work permits?
There are some information about residence permits also, and like links to the immigration office and
So, for example, if you live in a foreign country and you're planning
Yeah.
to move to Finland, then maybe you should check out
yeah,
first
yes, it's a very good place to start.
Yeah.
Like it has all the links to whatever you may need before you arrive.
And as we can see here, there is also this these job ads that you can choose the area where you're looking for jobs, and then you can choose the sector where you work in. But so what kind of job ads are there? Like, are they from all the sectors?
Yeah, pretty much from all the sectors. So it's and also for job search is a good place to start. So you can find those jobs targeted for foreign workforce.
Yeah. So if you work if your job is, for example, your education is from nursing,
Yeah,
you can
yes.
find that, or IT sector,
Yeah,
or like
yes.
whatever sector.
Whatever sector, pretty much.
Yeah. So a lot of different companies do
Yeah,
have their job ads there.
Yes, who have targeted their job
Yeah.
search towards
Yeah.
who is not necessarily a Finnish national. But like,
Yeah. Yeah. And so those are the kind of companies that also approve workers who don't speak Finnish.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so if we think about this organization called International House Helsinki, what is that?
It does many similar things as Work in Finland, but it's only for the capital region. So if you arrive in Helsinki or Espoo or Vantaa, you can like find like similar information like before you arrive. What do I need to know? Where do I need to go? And they also have like you can meet some government officials there, like the population registry, tax office, the T office.
Do they also have some kind of coaching?
Yeah, they also do like employment coaching.
Is that online or personal meeting?
I think they have a bit of both, like a mix.
Yeah, yeah. So what about TE services? How can TE services help job seekers, and how is this all going to change in January 1st, 2025?
Well, the T office can also offer them like employment coaching, job coaching, and different type of services to find a job. And when you arrive to Finland the first time, we also will register as a job seeker. We will also do like the initial assessment. What is your language skills? What is your background in education or work life? And we will start to plan the path from that point onwards.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
And then we have a big change coming
Yeah,
on January
yes.
1st. So
Yeah.
what's going to happen to a job seeker then who is listed as a customer in TE
yeah.
offices?
Well, the customer shouldn't worry too much, but the TE services, employment services, enterprise services will be transferred to local municipalities.
Yeah.
So the same services and the same laws will apply, but the services will be offered by the municipalities.
Yeah, so from then on it's totally on their responsibility.
Yes, and
Yes. And we will be giving later
Yeah,
information
yeah, there
about
will be
this. Yeah.
more
Okay.
information coming later.
Yeah. So what if somebody wants to be an entrepreneur? Like, for example, if you think about media sector or all kinds of creative people, for example, they might have a lot of ideas about starting up a business of your own. So Is there any coaching available for that?
Yeah, there's a lot of coaching available. You can, for example, contact your own TE office specialist about that and talk about your plans. And the TE office offers some like labor market training about entrepreneurship also. And then there are like local business centers that locally give similar training about entrepreneurship.
Yeah, and then we also actually had last autumn TE Live broadcast about entrepreneurship coaching, which is in English, and it's also provided by the it's like state-owned,
Yes.
so it's for free, and those are also online. So
Yeah.
we'll put a link to that on the chat field
Yeah,
about the last year's episode.
yeah, the TE or like the enterprise coaching offered by the TE services is free of charge.
Yeah, that's very good to
Yeah.
know. So there is a lot of information and coaching
Yes.
available for that. Okay, so soon we will talk about events, recruitment events, but first we will take a little video about this introduction of what is European Job Day.
What is an EOJD? European Online Job Days is an EU initiative run by the EURES network through the European Online Job Day platform. The goal is to match job seekers from one European country with employers from another through on-site and online recruitment events across Europe for free. If you are a job seeker, you can search for jobs across Europe in a variety of sectors. Upload your CV, apply to job offers, and schedule interviews with employers. Thanks to the live-streamed presentations and video chat tools, you will be able to attend an event from your own home or office. If you are an employer, you will be able to attend multiple job fairs, publish your job vacancies, get access to thousands of CVs, and invite suitable candidates to an online or on-site job interview on the day of the event. Whether you are a job seeker or an employer, create your free account now and take advantage of the next European Online Job Day. Every year, there are around 35 EOJDs organised across Europe that give you the chance to find work anywhere in Europe. Search, find, match.
So European Job Days sounded good. Now, what can we say about recruitment events like European Job Days?
I think it's a very good opportunity for a job seeker to meet multiple companies that are hiring, and also you can give your first impression to the employer, the possible employer in the event. So I think it benefits like both sides.
Yeah, and there is also one European Job Day coming up on the beginning of October. Yeah, and then also we have had these events. I have also personally visited in Rekrytori for
Yes.
internationals. That was in Kaapelitehdas, and last time at least it had a lot of people. So what do you think about these kind of events, how useful they are?
I think they are useful. Like I mentioned before, like it's a good opportunity to give your first impression to the employer. So
Yeah.
in many jobs there may be multiple applicants at the same time. So like how can the employer spot you in the pool of multiple applicants? So you can kind of give the impression in the
Yeah.
event already.
Yeah, like having a
yeah.
face-to-face conversation, and so do you think also on the tables that are being set on these kind of events, can you also like already there write your application or bring your CV?
Usually you can apply in the event already. So, and sometimes it's good that you print out your CV beforehand, so you can just hand it to the employer.
Yeah.
With your contact information, of course, that they can contact you.
And also employers from very different sectors
Yes.
come to those kind of like you can find many different sectors.
So you might find something that you didn't think about it before.
Yeah.
Like I never thought about that I would apply for this company, but like now here it is, and it sounds so interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then there is this thing called recognition of foreign qualifications, and this has been a problem according to my experience. We have had one TE Live broadcast about social services sector, where, for example, all those with bachelor degree from foreign countries, that can be a bit tricky to make the qualification so that it's you know, that it's valid also here in Finland. This is difficult for nurses, for example. So what can one do if one has a degree from another country?
The Finnish Agency for Education, Opetushallitus, has like good diagrams on their website about the education systems of different countries, so you can compare it with the Finnish one. And at least in the spring, they did this webinar series about like recognition of qualifications. You can probably find them online, I think. But like that's a good place to start.
Yeah, and it's also like especially for nurses, because we will be needing, it has been estimated that we will be needing a lot of nurses, new nurses here, so it can be a little bit tricky here.
Can be,
But it's not really like a problem on IT sector, for example, because there, you know, mainly you can just show your portfolio about your IT skills and so on. But then there are these law-related issues.
Some professions are regulated by the law, so you have to have like a certain qualification. But like then you might have to do some extra courses to make it fit the Finnish standards.
Yeah. So how about studying Finnish? Because as we spoke before about Work in Finland website, there are several employers who do not require Finnish skills. But what do you think about this in general? Like, should people study Finnish as well?
Well, in general, it can be very beneficial if you know Finnish. Some companies demand some level of Finnish, and some companies don't necessarily demand it, but it's good to know the language so you can like live in the society and integrate, feel part of the society. So it's good to know at least some level of Finnish.
Yeah, and then we also had a broadcast earlier about Kieliboosti, which is a platform that gives a lot of information about how to study Finnish for free and do these language tests on what skills level are you on. And we'll put a link to that on the chat field as well.
Yeah, it's also a very good platform to start. Like, where should I start learning Finnish? So Kieliboosti works for that.
And so then we also have, Finland is pretty famous about organizations. Now we do have a lot of organizations, like we say yhdistys. Some say that it's the promised land of the organizations. But so how can those benefit foreign people and foreign job seekers? For example, these women of Iraq, think Africa, Somali.
It's. I think the organizations are good places to like network with people in similar situations or people with similar backgrounds, and many of them offer like help with job seeking also, and like mentoring programs. So you have somebody to ask for help about like what should I do next.
Yeah, in your own language.
In your own language.
Give also tips on job searching. Yeah. So that's good to know. And then also we have this blog link that we're going to be putting there, and it's designed by our specialists here in TE Services. What can you say about that?
It's a good blog test. It has some of the same things that we have discussed here, but like also it has links to the services that it mentions. So it has like 5 tips for an international job seeker.
Yeah, so 5 main
5 main points,
Yeah. Okay, and we'll be putting a link to that to the chat. And speaking about the chat, we will take a look at your questions now. So we had actually about 16 pre-sent questions at least. And some of them were related to benefits and your personal situation. So I would kindly like to remind you about the fact that if your issue is related to your benefits, for example, you should contact the information numbers that we have put on the chat field. But so first, maybe we could speak about this because Alex had sent a pre-sent question about should I learn Finnish language first to get a job. So we already talked about that
yeah,
a little
pretty
bit.
much.
Yeah.
You can find some jobs that necessarily don't require Finnish, but it's good to know Finnish because many companies like to have like some level of Finnish knowledge, even though that you wouldn't necessarily need it in that much in the job.
Yeah, and also we spoke about this during the broadcast, so you can also watch the recording of this broadcast afterwards. And then Charbel Nick is asking a pre-sent question, how can I find companies in Finland that take employees outside of European Union?
I think like Working Finland is a good platform for that because they already list those jobs that they offer for like foreign professionals. So that's a good place to check which companies hire people from outside of the EU.
Yeah, and then Nick is asking, is it common for a business based in Finland to obtain customers outside of Finland, including clients in the US, and what would be the biggest obstacles?
Yeah, I think many companies have like foreign clients. So it's very international world nowadays.
Yeah, I don't know what would be the biggest obstacles for that.
Maybe the time zone or time difference between the US and Finland, but with the internet and all this kind of like instant communication, I don't think there's not too many obstacles.
And then Giselle is asking what would be the right website to apply for job offers in English for international places like the airport?
Well, Working Finland is good for that, or this jobmarket.finland.fi. There you can choose like jobs that like click that I want to find like English job advertisements, for example.
Yeah, Work in Finland, and then also I think Finavia has a lot of, if you think about the airport in Helsinki, Finavia has their own website, and then also I think they are also in Työmarkkinatori, if you just search Finavia. Yeah. Jumpy is asking any tips for building connections, networking with people that could help you find a job?
Well, if you need like help for finding a job, then this employment coaching, job coaching type of services would be good. Or this, like if you want to network with companies or companies that hire, then these like recruitment events can be very useful for that.
Yeah. And so Claudia is asking about how difficult is it to find work for a 52-year-old woman who does not speak Finnish in the field of architecture and construction. I would say that we will have an event coming up on 4th of September, and we had a broadcast about that last week, so you can check the recording. It's called Uusio Ura, and Uusio Ura is an event specially designed for plus 45 job seekers. So maybe in Uusio Ura.
Yeah. I would suggest that.
Yeah, and okay, so Alan is asking, I'm already living in Finland and going through the integration process. Can I start an entrepreneurship without being kicked off in the integration process?
Well, you should maybe discuss that with your own specialist, how the details go, but like... if you can like balance your time with the entrepreneurship and the course, then like... maybe you can, but like I would suggest that you contact your own specialist in the TE office.
Yeah, and thank you so much for your questions. And also there are these 3 specialists from TE Services who still will be answering your questions for a few minutes after the broadcast as well. Okay, so One more last question for you. What do you think is the best thing about Finnish work culture?
Well, we mentioned the work-life balance earlier, but so that's a good thing. But besides that, I think that what I like the best is that there's not too much hierarchy. So you can talk to your own boss in the first name or something. So it like really lowers the threshold to ask a question. Like, okay, I need help with something. So, but like, okay, I don't have to be afraid of my own supervisor or something. I think.
Yeah, that's
easily
something I
contact.
have also noticed.
Yeah.
We talk like best friends, even
Yes.
though you're a leading specialist. But that's really
Yes.
true. It's great. Thank you so much for
Thank you very
visiting
much.
our studio today.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone for watching the broadcast today. And if you are into these English broadcasts, you can find them more when you go to telive.fi, and then you choose your language to be English, and then you press search again, and you will find recordings and upcoming TE Live broadcasts. Now also feel free to leave some feedback for us. We will put a link on the chat where you can leave your feedback. And thank you so much for watching our broadcasts, and have a really good day, and I hope to see you online soon again.